You're listening to The Next 15, a podcast show for the binge listener covering random topics such as relationships, current news, and everyday life issues. My name is Trey North, and for the next few minutes, I hope to make you laugh, educate, and inspire you. Welcome to the Next 15 podcast show. It's Friday night, 7 o'clock, and you know what time it is. It's time for another episode of the Next 15 podcast show with Trey North. And I have my co-host, or my host in here, Chris McAllister.
Yo, what's going on, everybody? As you know, it is so good to be back in the saddle.
And I can't forget Andrea Clark in the chat room. What up, Andrea? How are you doing tonight?
Hey, everybody, I can't see your face, so just hit me up in the place.
Want to thank all of you listeners that are listening live and all of you future downloaders. Thank you so much for tuning in tonight. Last week, we had iDrive. I'm tripping. I'm about to say randomish, y'all. We had Finish Line with Vanessa Woods White of iDrive Business Consulting. Tonight's topic is self-sabotage. Now, when we talk about self-sabotage, we're referring to behaviors or thought patterns that will hold you back and prevent you from doing what you need or want to do. Tonight, we're going to discuss what causes self-sabotage, some of the ways that people sabotage themselves, and how to avoid self-sabotaging. All of this and more right here on the Next 15 podcast. But first, let me introduce our special guest. Our returning guest was born and raised in North Orlando, Florida. She was instructed by God to move to Rockford, Illinois in January of 2013. And shortly after that, she accepted her call to preach the gospel. She was licensed in ministry in January of 2015, ordained in May of 2019, and has been awarded for community involvement in Florida. But her greatest accomplishment is accepting and operating in her purpose as a servant of the Lord. Please welcome back again, Pastor Monica Rivers. How are you this evening?
I'm doing great. Thank you, Trey. Thank you, Pastor Chris, for having me back on. Hello, Andrea. How are you doing tonight? I'm excited. Let's do this. Back in the saddle, as Pastor Chris said. We back in the saddle.
Back in the saddle, everybody. Let's do it.
Well, we gave you what self-sabotage is. If you're tuning in, thank you so much. We see you guys in the chat room. We see Yigel, Erica, and Shamika, and everybody over at next15podcast.com. Thank you so much once again. We're going to dive into this. I'm going to give it to our guests when it comes to self-sabotage. What do you think, Pastor Rivers, or your definition or how you see self-sabotage?
I see self-sabotage as literally like shooting yourself in the foot. That's the best way I would describe it. It's like you turning the gun on yourself.
What about you, Pastor Chris?
Man, when I think really about self-sabotage, man, I what really hits me is fear. You know what I mean? When I think about self-sabotage, I think about when people are afraid to succeed. You know what I mean? And so they will make anything happen to make it not look like their fault, that it didn't, that they wouldn't pushed forward or they didn't make it to the next level, man. So really, I think self-sabotage starts with fear.
That's good. I think so too. I think it's just, yeah. I mean, those are, like I said earlier, referring to the behaviors or thought patterns that that can hold you back or prevent you from doing what you want or possibly needing to do. Let's get in quick with some of the causes of self-sabotage. You can take it, Chris.
Oh, man, some of the causes of self-sabotages, man. I mean, I'm going to start off with this, and I'm definitely going to let Pastor Rivers kind of jump on board here and correct me if I'm wrong, if you don't feel the same way, everybody. But one of the main causes of self-sabotaging or sabotage kind of placates to, I said fear earlier, and I'm going to stick to that.
Okay.
But also, is just being, I don't want to say fear again, but not knowing the future. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like when you don't know the future and you don't know what it entails when it or what it holds, then you'll become comfortable. That's what I was getting. It's
Yeah.
actually comfortability is also a reason for self-sabotage on my end, man.
Yeah. Yeah. What do you have anything to
Okay.
add to that, Pastor
Yeah,
Rivers?
I believe actually the basis of it is fear. But some other things, part of it is overthinking,
Mm,
overanalyzing,
that's good.
over
Mhm.
planning, the need to be in control.
Yes.
Um,
Yes.
Right.
so it does is but the basis of all that is fear. And
Right.
I think the problem, which is anxiety. So you'll hear psychologists
Yeah.
say, well, you suffer from anxiety,
Mhm.
aka fear.
Mhm.
You're worried about what may happen instead of letting
Mhm.
things, you know, just happen.
Mhm.
And
Uh-huh.
so that, the overanalyzing, how
Yeah.
many of us do that? We overthink. And so then because we overthink, we procrastinate. And because we procrastinate, then we are not organized. And because we're not organized, then nothing gets done. And so it creates this cycle.
Mhm.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. That is a way that people self sabotage. I want to deal with the causes though, because I think those are some of the ways that people sabotage themselves. But I think that fear is a cause. I think also upbringing or influences may be a cause.
Mm,
You
Mm-hmm.
know
that's
what I
good.
mean, of self-sabotage, and we'll dive into that later on. But I think when it comes to upbringing or influences, it learned behavior can be a self-sabotaging um, thing to a person. So you had something, Andrea?
Okay, well, Shamika in the chat room said fear of the unknown, and what if it doesn't turn out like I thought it should? You will never know until you try.
That's true.
Mm-hmm.
That's true.
Right.
I
Mm-hmm.
fear it, like Pastor
Mm-hmm.
Chris said too,
Mm-hmm.
the unknown or facing the outcome of change. Yeah, and I think that comes
Mm-hmm.
from some of us just again want to be in control of our lives, and then we get intimidated or stuck in that familiarity, or as
Yeah.
Pastor Chris said, that comfortability.
Comfortability.
Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah, yeah,
Right.
And
yeah.
I, and going on what you said, we have to learn how to unlearn some things. And a lot of it is programming. Think
Mm-hmm.
about it. When you first go to school,
Right,
they put all these red X's. So we're trained to look at flaws.
right.
We're programmed
mm,
to look at flaws. And so part of self sabotaging is literally like, let me find out what's wrong with this person. What are their flaws? What's wrong with this situation?
Mm-hmm.
What could possibly go wrong instead of thinking what could go
Mm-hmm.
right? And so that's the problem. We're programmed to focus on the negative.
Right, right. I agree with that.
And,
right.
s- and so we have to reprogram our minds. And
Yeah.
that takes time.
It does. I think another cause, and if I don't know, y'all might agree. I think relationships, like failed marriages, may
Mm,
be a cause of self sabotage.
wow. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't know.
I you know what? I agree with that. When you have put your all into something and your all wasn't good enough, then it changes the outlook that how you look at life. And you know
Hmm.
what I mean? And how you operate at life. So, using marriage is a great concept as of because with marriage, for the most
Right.
part, I can't speak for everybody, but for the most part, most of us put all of ourselves in that marriage or in
Hmm.
that relationship, and then when it doesn't turn out the
Hmm.
way we wanted it to turn out or quote unquote fail,
Hmm.
then at that point, you look at relationship, you look at people differently. You know
Hmm.
what I mean? And that trust factor and all that good stuff, man. So I totally agree with that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, can we talk about something you said, the word failure?
Okay.
And so the question
Hmm.
is, the problem is, but going back to programming, society tells us what failure is.
Right.
So are you basing it off of, are you comparing? Because that's part of self-sabotaging
Hmm.
is the comparison. That's why we have so many people
Right.
who are jealous and envy
Right.
because you're too busy counting someone else's blessing and comparing
Right.
what you don't have.
Right.
So what is failure? Let's talk about that because honestly, that's part of, if you feel like you're in life and you're comparing yourself to someone else who has a different purpose in life and you have a different purpose in life and you're like, well,
Right.
I'm failing compared to them. You know what I'm saying? So what is failure per se?
Right.
Well,
Like, who's to say you're failing?
well, now
Let's talk about that.
Okay, well, now what I meant when I went to the failed marriages thing, I meant from a standpoint where, okay, you were once in a marriage that didn't work out. You both split up, and then now you have that fear that goes back to fear again, or the internal baggage that you're carrying over to the next relationship, and you could be with somebody that's really a good person, but you'll sit there and sabotage the whole relationship,
Right.
and you have a good thing. So that's what I meant in that aspect. But what you're saying too is a very good, valid point. Yeah.
Okay. Hey,
Yeah.
guys. Low Daddy in the chat room said you have to believe in yourself. And Bree said comparison is no bueno.
What did Low Daddy say?
You have to believe in yourself.
You have to. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. What's up, Low Daddy? That's my cousin, y'all, from
Hey,
Houston,
what's going
Texas.
on?
Not believing in yourself.
Hey, what's up?
Yeah. And he says not believing in yourself is self-sabotage.
Oh.
That's a good one. Let me switch that then. So would you say self-esteem issues then are some of the causes of self-sabotage?
Correct.
Based on his comment.
Definitely. But it goes back to those internal cues that we're telling, like you said, maybe it's things that we heard when we were younger. And it's so important with parenting, So what happens if, you've been told all your life, well, you're not cute, or you're too skinny, or you're not smart.
Right.
So then you begin to internalize those things, right?
Right.
So as you internalize these things, then they become part of your core values. Right. So now it's part of your core values. And so then it builds about what? Fear. So it all goes back to a couple of things Pastor Chris said, fear. It goes back to what you said, stuff we learned. Yeah. But the thing is, even though we grew up that way, doesn't mean we have to continue that way.
That's true. Right. I agree with that. I think we have to the reprogramming is the best way you can put it. I mean, you have to learn process new information. And sometimes that's kind of hard for some of us to do because, again, you've been doing the same thing over and over again, and the familiarity of something new, it can be, again, man, it seems like fear always comes back up, but because if you've been taught the color is red all your life, then how hard would it be if somebody says, well, we're going to change that and make it another color? You know what I mean? Like, like it would be hard for us to look at red and call it yellow. You know what I mean?
Right.
So,
you know what? I want to throw something else out there on you guys too when it comes to self-sabotage. I want to throw this out and kind of give me your feedback in regards to this, but sometimes I feel like we self-sabotage ourselves because we really haven't spent enough time with ourselves to know ourselves. I feel like, sometimes you don't know yourself until you're placed into certain situations because you have no idea what you would do. Right. And then on top of that, we don't learn ourselves as we grow older and as we mature. I'm not the same person I was at the age of 10. I'm not the same person as I was at the age of 20. I'm not the same person I was at the age of 30. But I have to get to, that 10-year-old me now has to figure out who this 30-year-old me is. You know what I mean? And so some of us are self-sabotaging and have no idea that we're self-sabotaging. We just think that our life just, quote unquote sucks. And like, no, you haven't spent enough time with you to know what you're doing wrong. And so tell me what you think about in regards to that.
Well, I mean, I don't disagree with it, but some people are not maturing. There's some people that are 50 and still have a 17-year-old mindset. They're goofy. Let's be real. They can't have an adult conversation at all, let alone think on adult level. And so we have to put that in mind. Some people have, they can't help that. They can't mature mentally. Some people just can't help it.
Right.
But there's some people who are literally just stuck in life because a lot of times, can we talk about something I think we don't talk about as a community enough is trauma. Ooh. They've had a traumatic incident that happened and they get stuck in what is called survivor mode. Right. And so they end up going in this cycle and it's self-sabotaging because they never heal.
Ooh.
Mm.
Ooh, that's good. That's good,
That's
Pastor.
good.
That's good right
Yeah,
there.
that's real good.
Ooh, I tell you what, guys, let's take a commercial break, and we come back. We're going to deal with ways people sabotage themselves. Keep it locked, you guys, right here on the Next 15.
Hey family, this is Christopher McAllister, Senior Pastor of Life Changers Church here in the great city of Austin, Texas. And I am so excited to invite you to come experience change. Yeah, that's right, a change. A change in the way you think, a change in what motivates you, or even a change in how you perceive church. So come visit us on Sunday mornings at 10:30 a.m. for an hour of power, either at our physical location at 15020 North I-35 Frontage Road, Austin, Texas, 78728, or on our website at lifechangersaustin.com. Or you can even catch us on our live stream on Facebook at LCC Austin. Yeah, that's right, LCC Austin. Isn't it about time you were a part of something different? Life Changers Church, where we're changing lives starting with ourselves. We'll see you real soon.
Hey ladies, have you been neglecting your skin? Are you using products that are harmful to your body? Well, it's time to switch it up and head over to Divine Perfection Body Care and experience vegan, paraben, and cruelty-free body products that are handcrafted to help women create a lifestyle of self-care. With products ranging from body scrubs, body butters, soaps, and more, Divine Perfection Body Care is a lifestyle brand designed with your self-care in mind. Hey men, Divine Perfection Body Care has products that are tailor-made just for you. Check out their selection of body washes, soaps, and beard oil. Go to divineperfectionbodycare.com and check out their wide selection of body care products. They even carry products for your household. Divine Perfection Body Care, where it's spa day every day. You're listening to the Next 15 Podcast Show with Trey North on Spreaker.com. Welcome back to the Next 15 Podcast Show. If you're just tuning in, thank you. Thank you for those who've already been here. We're talking about sabotage, and our special guest co-host is Pastor Monica Rivers from ECOD Ministry. We're talking about self-sabotage, and we're going to go in. Hold on. We're getting a call already from Houston, Texas. Right. Hold on one second, y'all. Okay. No problem. Welcome to the Next 15 Podcast Show. This is Trey. How can I help you?
What's up, Trey? I just want to tell y'all doing a good job on that show. Y'all going deep, man. Y'all going deep.
Oh, man, that's Low Daddy. I already know who that is.
Yeah, my first time on the show. I really like it. I ain't gonna lie, y'all giving a lot of knowledge out here today. I really appreciate it. I'm glad I jumped on here, man.
What's up.
Man, thank you. That's what's up, man. Thank you for supporting your cousin, man. I appreciate that.
We can't, folks. I didn't know you was tight like that. Y'all got it. Y'all off the chain on the crew. I cover this. I ain't gonna lie.
Oh, man, I appreciate that, man. You're going to have to go back and check out the other 2 seasons that you missed then, because you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I'm going to have to. You're right about that, because I'm impressed. I ain't going to lie. I'm impressed, man. I'm impressed.
Oh, man, well, thank you, man. I appreciate it. You got anything you want to add to the show, I mean, that we talking about, I mean, before we hit the next topic?
Well, no, I'm just listening. I'm going to tweet in. I'm listening and learning, man. I'm listening and learning.
Well, hey, man, I appreciate you, man. Thank you so much, man. I appreciate you for listening in tonight, man.
Anytime. Y'all have a blessing.
All right, man. All right, you do the same, bro.
Bless one.
All right.
Blessings.
Man, I'm feeling all warm inside right now. That's a kinfolk right there, man. Showing it love. Oh, man. All right. Well, y'all know the number, 512-827-9164. We just got through talking about the causes of self-sabotage, but now we're going to talk about ways that people sabotage themselves. Listen, I got a little tidbit for you guys. If you will go, y'all listening, check this out now, write it down. If you want to take a self-sabotage test, go to drjudyho.com, drjudyho.com. SelfSabodyho.com and click on Self-Sabotage and take the life quiz test to find out what area in your life that you may or that may be causing you self-sabotage. Again, that's drjudyho.com. Click on self-sabotage, take the life quiz, and you can see what areas of your life that might be causing you to self-sabotage. So, yeah. So, ways that people sabotage themselves. Chris.
You want me to start?
Yeah.
Because I can definitely start. All right. As a pastor, man, I see people do this all the time, man. And I see people kind of self-sabotage when they begin to, I like to use the analogy of put the cart before the horse, right? Mm-hmm. They will minor on the major and major on the minor. People can self-sabotage because they put their focus on the small things instead of taking a step back to see the bigger picture. A lot of people make decisions off of emotions because that's the right now. Again, instead of stepping back and making decisions off the bigger picture. So let me bring that down real quick. So literally, people self-sabotage. Like, okay, let's just say they self-sabotage their career because if the goal is just the money, then you're going to self-sabotage because all you're going to do is when you see the money, you're not going to look at the future investment in the company or in the business or in the career. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
All money ain't good money.
Touche. Pastor Rivers, you got anything to add to that, or you got a...
No, I agree. But people often, it goes back to just various reasons. And I think we have to realize all of us do it to a certain extent.
Yeah.
And the goal is to, as you grow, as you hopefully mature, to, do those things less. We all overanalyze. We all at times overthink. We all, Pastor Chris said, put the minor to the major and the major to the minor. We all can do that. But it takes, I think, part of keeping yourself from self-sabotaging is having sound counsel. When you have people to help you properly put things in perspective.
I like that.
And so that is the importance. I believe people who self-sabotage more often than others are those who they're envious, they're jealous, they think people are goofy or whatever the case may be, but failing to realize that you can learn from everybody and you can learn something from everybody. And so when you begin to change your perspective on life and begin to see things differently and be able to do that, that comes from sound counsel. Yeah. And that's just real talk.
Yeah, I like that. I like what you said about sound counsel. And we were kind of talking about last week about we had a expert goal strategist and life coach and I was thinking about ways that people sabotage themselves, or they don't set goals, or they're not planning for their future. And like I said on the last episode, you're gonna live in your future, so you might as well plan for it. And I think going through life without a plan, you're just living day by day. You have no, what future do you have or outcome are you expecting to have without careful planning? And I just think that's a lot of times we sabotage ourselves just on that alone. So
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. No. Hey guys, Mariah in the chat room says having sound counsel is needed. And Shamika said you have to remain teachable.
Oh, that's good. Yeah. Remain teachable. Now that's really good. I think that goes back into internalizing your beliefs and not not willing to reprogram your mind. Again, that goes back into that learned behavior. You can't. We all know what the definition of insanity is, right? So, I mean, if we're not willing to look at ourselves and evaluate ourselves to see, maybe our flaws or recognizing our flaws, because sometimes I think that people sabotage themselves simply because they don't want to look at themselves. They don't want to look at, they don't want that change because they feel like that internalized, I'm right, I'm all I'm right, and my mama did it this way and she taught me how to do it this way, and her mama taught, and so on, to the degree where there's no change. You're not provoking any thought or change. So yeah.
Okay, guys. I'm sorry. Brandy said You're just exiting without a plan.
Existing?
You have to, I'm sorry. Existing with a plan. You live when you have a plan. Huge difference.
Right.
Existing without a plan. Ooh. Wow.
That's heavy.
That's good.
heavy.
That's heavy.
That is good. Yeah, that's good.
Think about, there's so many people who are actually doing that. They are existing without a plan. I was there at one point in my life also, and so there's a lot of things that when I look back now that I self-sabotage because I didn't have a plan. You know what I mean? And so that is so heavy.
Yeah.
That is heavy. That is heavy. But and sometimes it goes back to what you started off with, Pastor Chris. There's a fear to plan, and then there's over planning.
Right.
So there's got to be a balance to everything. So, you see what I'm saying? We got to internalize to a certain extent, but we can't do too much. And I think part of self-sabotaging is like that self-indulgence. It goes back to not facing yourself, not really doing introspection and being real with yourself. And a lot of people fail to do that. They fail to really say, you know what? I'm not as mature as I can be. You know what? I do overthink, So what can I do to stop this? What are the steps? And it goes back to planning, like, okay, and breaking habits. So, the inconsistency, and that's the key. And a lot of people are not consistent.
Yeah.
And when they're going through the process of changing and trying to be better, they lack consistency.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
That's good. That's good. Excuse me. I got another one. Perfectionism.
Okay.
I think that can hinder your progress and your goals. Again, that's the overly analytical, but I think perfectionism can hinder progress, and it also can hinder your results. It has to be right. And then if it's not right, because I have that, I'm going to be honest, sometimes that's one of my flaws. I'm a perfectionist, and I won't put out something until it's right. I'm like, well, I ain't ready to do this, y'all, on the show, so we just going to wait until I get it right. Okay, when is it going to be right, though?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like get out there, and then you can tweak it. I'm learning tonight on my own self right now. So listen, guys, we told you to go to drjudyho.com. A little bit later on in the show, right before we end, we all took the life quiz ourselves. So you guys will be able to hear some transparency from us on some of the things that the test, quote unquote, says that we may be self-sabotaging at. So I just wanted to throw that in right quick. Yeah. Anybody got any more? I got another one if y'all don't have any. I got several that I wrote down.
Oh, you got several. Go ahead. Rock with it. I'm rocking with it.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Okay. Indulgence.
Yep. Overindulge.
Yeah.
Yes. Yep.
Food, sex, drugs, whatever. I mean,
yeah, whatever. It could be anything. I think we always think overindulging is just, someone who's on drugs or they're alcoholic, but too much of anything. I mean, you could overindulge in exercise. There's people who exercise 7 times a week. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, it could be anything. It's just a sign of imbalance. And if we really want to talk about the source of self-sabotage, it's in an imbalance. That's really what it is.
Oh, nice.
It's really an imbalance.
Yeah, I agree with that.
And when you start talking about overindulging, that can go in like Pastor Rivers said, that can go into anything, man. You can overindulge in people's opinions about whatever you're doing. You know what I mean? So you can overindulge in that because you have those individuals that won't start or that won't move forward until they get the opinion of everybody. And sometimes that's the last thing that you need in certain situations of getting the business off the ground or stepping out and marrying that individual or whatever, or going back to school. You can overindulge in people's opinion about things, or like we've been saying, you can always analyze, people's opinions about you also. So that's crazy.
Yeah, I think that falls into self-esteem issues. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah, I do. I really think that has something to do with that too. You have something, Andrea?
Okay, what Brandy in the chat room said, that's me. However, I learned from Vanessa, I had to take control of my life. I have too much to offer and too much to lose.
That's good. I
That's me
understand.
too.
Yeah.
Knowing your worth.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, I think another way people sabotage themselves is the victim mentality. Blaming others or having defensive nature or complaining. You know, not able to assume responsibility for your actions and putting it on somebody else. You know, a defensive nature, man, that's dangerous too.
Yeah, that definitely can be, man, because a lot of people, including me, man, I did this, for years. You would blame the reason why you haven't made it to a certain level of life is because you grew up without, or, you know what I mean? Oh, my parents didn't have this, or they didn't teach me this, or, or we went through a divorce or something of that nature. And then we hold on to that and making that the reason that I turn out the way I turned out, instead of making the necessary changes, because as you get older, you should know better, but everybody don't grow and mature like Pastor Rivers said. But we always use, I think some of us prefer to have the excuse to self-sabotage in that manner. Some of us don't fix it because we want to have that excuse.
Right.
Right. Definitely. And another thing, just something you said, initiating conflicts. I mean, there's people who, there's nothing wrong with being honest and forward, but lacking tact or just being outright outrageous, another self-sabotaging aspect is initiating conflict. People who, they're always in some drama. They always talking about somebody said, or they don't know me. They don't know me.
Well, you gotta do the
I'm
clap.
gonna tell them.
You gotta do the clap.
Like what you gonna do? You don't know me. So, people getting in people's faces, and it's like, okay, I'm gonna need you to calm down. So it's nothing wrong with being honest. It's nothing wrong with being open, but we also, not respecting someone is something, is another sign. Because the lack of respect also shows the lack of immaturity. It shows lack of maturity, and it shows immaturity.
I agree with that. I also think that has to deal with like protection mode, like the lack of vulnerability. You know what I mean? Because a lot of times, not being vulnerable, that can have you all bottled up. You know what I mean? You can't even. You can't. You're in protection mode. I don't know, a different range of emotions, anger. You know what I'm saying? Can come into play. Your self-esteem, but when you don't have any vulnerability, it might be even hard for you to accept correction at that point. You know what that means? Because sometimes when you have when you accept corrections, you're letting down your guard. You know what I mean?
Right.
In a sense,
right.
and you're able to have a teachable moment, or someone's able to have a teachable moment with you for correction. You can't grow if you're in that defensive mode or in that defensive nature. You'll never be able to grow out of that. Yeah.
No, that's the truth. That is facts. And another thing is imposter syndrome is what they call it, where you see people who are like trying to help them get to the next level, like you have the tools to get them there, but they're wanting you to plug them in, but then they're not doing what it takes to be plugged in. And so basically you're like, okay, you want this, but you working. So I'm going to need you to be consistent. And so, so what they fail to realize, and then they were like, well, I got this going on and I got that going on and I have this. And, I spoke to someone today that literally told me every bad thing about their situation, however they've lived through it. And I want to say so bad, but you lived through it. You're still here. You're still here. Man. So it's like, goes back to that programming. What are you focusing on? What is your mind really seeing? Like so many people in life, perspectives are so skewed. It's like they're complaining, it ain't right, something wrong with it. It's almost like, I'm gonna be honest, I'm picky about my food. If it's not sitting right, I'm not eating it. And one day my brother said to me, what is wrong with you? Ain't nothing wrong with the food, just eat it. You hungry, just eat it. And that's what, that's what self-sabotage is you sitting in front of something and it's more than readily available to you, but because you see something wrong with it, you won't eat it. You won't take part of it.
Wow. That's so good. good.
Hey guys in the
Pastor
chat
Rivers,
room. I'm
that's
sorry.
so
Go
good.
ahead. I'm sorry. What did you say, Chris?
No, I was saying, Pastor Rivers, that is so good.
Oh, it is. It is. I was going to say, hey, guys in the chat room, give us a call if you want to comment or anything. 512-827-9164. We'd love to hear your comments, or perhaps you've self-sabotage or you're learning something. Let us know how we're doing tonight.
Yeah.
I think, did we say procrastination is a way?
We touched on
touched
it, but
on
we
it.
didn't go
We touched
deep.
on it,
Yeah,
yeah.
we didn't go deep. Mm-mm.
Y'all want to just, y'all, I mean.
Let's go deep, because I think people don't know when they procrastinate. There's
Oh,
different
right.
forms of procrastination. I think people are like, oh, I'm not a procrastinator. Like, all of us procrastinate to a certain extent. Whether you're indecisive, maybe you made a decision, you haven't started moving. Let's talk about it. We all procrastinate to a certain extent, and I think that's our time right now is to be real with ourselves, right?
I think
so.
You're right, and I'll be the first one to put myself on blast. And I just said it earlier: perfectionism. That's a form of procrastination, in my opinion. Again, like I said, it can hinder your progress or results. Well, I'm procrastinating, instead of getting it out there. And also that also just kind of ping pongs off of overthinking. You know what I mean? I'm real bad at that. I overthink it. I overanalyze it. And then I get to that perfectionism part of it. And then I end up procrastinating because I'm too busy still overthinking. And I look and go, oh, man, I should have just went on ahead and did what you know what I mean? Those procrastination, perfection, and overthinking are one of my biggest problems, I think, right now. So, yeah.
You're not the only one. I overthink all the time. I had somebody recently tell me, like, girl, you thinking too hard. That's what I'm talking about. You need people around you to be like, you're overthinking it. It's really just this simple. Right. And then procrastination goes off of how we're feeling.
Yeah. Okay.
How do you feel? Sometimes we don't feel motivated, and that goes back to the internal thoughts. What are you saying to yourself daily?
Okay, guys. Bree in the chat room said, I will openly admit that I procrastinate sometimes. Bree, you're not alone. And Shamika said, go with your first mind or idea or answer.
That's good.
Right.
My problem is I have to think. I try to think before I go with my first. Like I don't know.
Right.
I'm in the mode in the season of my life where I am doubting my doubts. That's where I'm at. That's where I'm at right now. I know. It's sad, ain't it? But I'm just saying. That's where I'm at. Yeah. What you gonna say, Chris?
I was gonna say, and some of us we use procrastination to do the thing that we don't consider important. When you procrastinate, you generally you don't want to do the thing that you need to be doing because you don't really hold it to a high regard. So you'll that's where that phrase says, "Oh, I'm too busy." No, you're not, because you make time for what you really want to make time for. You know what I mean? So we'll use procrastination in any regards just to say we're doing something, but we're not doing what we should or are supposed to be doing. So a lot of us use procrastination just to look busy in people's eyes. You know what I mean?
Yes. Okay, guys. Bree said the worst procrastination is not pulling over and getting gas when your tank is low and going straight home just to have to stop for gas the next day.
Oh my God.
That is me.
I've done that too.
I did that the other day. I almost ran out of gas on 35 in traffic.
Wow.
It's like, I'll just get it tomorrow.
No, I have a couple of miles to go.
It says 36 miles. I don't live but 9.9 from work. I can go
Right.
2 times.
You hear that? You got that empty light that come on and you be like, bing. You're like, got 10 miles.
Listen, I'm so bad. My car will say, hey, your gas is low. We will show you to the nearest gas station. And I still won't go. And I live right on the corner where a gas station is.
Okay, and then Brandy said, I'm definitely a procrastinator. I'm learning and doing better because I've learned procrastination is the result of the life you could live. I can't continue to self-sabotage with procrastination as the lead. I owe more to myself.
That's right. I
That's
agree.
it.
That's
Right.
good thinking, Brandy. Yeah. Brandy was the winner of
The life coach.
life coach counseling. Boy,
Yeah.
Vanessa
Awesome.
already got you changed
Right.
around. What?
You done changed your whole
Hello?
thought process out here.
Didn't she?
That hour free consultation. And by the way, if somebody email me, I'll take the first email that I receive. I have one more to give away. Nobody claimed it last week. So email me at next15podcast@gmail.com. That's next15podcast@gmail.com. We'll put it up in the chat room. But that's very good, Brandy. Very good. Hold on. I think we're getting a call in. Hold on one second. Did you get it? Welcome to the Next 15, or did we miss it? Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I thought we were getting a call in.
No, that's good.
I don't know. Did we lose Pastor Rivers?
Yep.
Oh,
I'm
okay.
here.
That was you.
I'm back. Yeah.
I'm like, what happened?
I am back.
Okay. So, I have the biggest one. Anybody got any more ways before we move on to how to avoid sabotage and how to overcome it? Nobody? So,
I think we don't run through them too.
No,
man.
you didn't. No, you didn't. Y'all
No,
missed
I
one.
think one that we questioning your purpose.
Ooh.
It's almost like questioning yourself. It's in a way, I feel like if you're questioning your purpose, if God has revealed that to you and you still question, it's almost like you're questioning God why you was created.
Ooh.
Mm.
Ooh, that's
deep.
That's
yeah,
doubt.
a lot of
Distrust.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, see, y'all forgot one. Well, I know we kind of talked about the need for being in control. You know, the familiar, of course, is the safe haven to remain in control. But what about the biggest of them all? Quitting.
Quitting. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Totally forgot about that one.
Quitting. Yep. And it's almost like, I think we had a comment somewhere in the, I think it was Brandy. Procrastination, she was saying, is the result of life you could have lived. I can't continue. Self-sabotage, but procrastination is the lead. I owe it to myself. Yeah, quitting. I think the biggest part of it is the shoulda, coulda, woulda. You know, where others have pushed through, because we all have a story, right? I mean, we've all been through something in life.
Right.
And it is quitting while others have decided to push forward and get over those atrocities in life or those turbulent times. You know, we're quitting. We're sitting back and watching, you know, the things that they are doing that we could have been doing. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's almost, if you want to go spiritual with it, it's almost like, hey, you know, God put a calling on your life. And and you haven't moved on that. Like he gave you something, and then now you are watching somebody else do what God that gave you.
Right.
You know,
Exactly.
And now you're sitting there going, "What happened?" You know, I could have been doing that. So
Right.
yeah. I think
Sitting on the bench.
yeah,
Bench warmer.
yeah, the bench, exactly, the bench warmer. Absolutely.
I'm gonna say this, man. When you start talking about like quitting, you know, we all make it to that point where you have the option to quit. You know what I mean? Like you said, we all have a backstory. We all have something. But I heard Dr. Ivy Hilliard say this. He said, I want to make sure that I phrase it right, but he ended up pretty much saying that the will of God doesn't automatically come to pass. You have to walk in the path that he gave you. You know what I mean?
Right,
He has it set up, but it just doesn't come to pass as much as we think that it does. He was like, you have some work to do in that to bring that thing to pass. And I think a lot of us think that, okay, well, if it was meant to be, it will be. Well, it's not going to be if you don't put any effort into it.
Right.
And so some of the self-sabotage is laziness. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, it's just lazy. You know, you have the skill, you just don't have the will. You're just lazy. A lot of us do that, and then of course, then we'll blame God or blame everybody else why it didn't happen.
Right. That's good. So, what are some of the ways that we can avoid self-sabotage, and then how to overcome it? How can we overcome that? Does anybody want to tackle that one?
Well, one thing I would say is you gotta be real with yourself. That's where it starts. Is just facing yourself. Because a lot of the stuff we were saying, the self-blaming, the being lazy, wanting, this genie mentality, let me rub, pray, and is this going to fall in my lap kind of thing. You know what I'm saying? It's just going to happen without me doing any work. We have to be real with ourselves, and also be real with our capability and our skills. Some of us think more of ourselves than we should, and some of us don't think enough of ourselves as we should. Right. So just putting things in proper perspective, and that comes from kind of like how you're saying that coach. I am been pushing that. You need a health coach. You need a nutritionist. You need a life. You need coaches in your life. You need people who are sound to help you navigate through life. And I think a lot of us don't want to invest in that because, once again, it goes back to putting time, and a lot of people don't want to be held accountable. So while you're being real with yourself, you need someone to hold you accountable for what God has revealed about yourself to yourself.
That's good. I think also how to avoid self-sabotage. You have to deal with your thoughts first. Your thoughts will paint your perception. And we learned that your perception is your reality. So we have to tune into our thoughts and gain control of our emotions, and then change our behaviors. So I think so I think that's one way to avoid it and how to overcome it. Yeah.
Okay, guys. So Shamika said in the chat room, Psalms 37:23. The steps of a good man are ordered by the Lord, and he delighted in his way. Adrian said, quitting, being a run and everything, that's too challenging. Fear of rejection. And then Shamika also said, we also have to find out what we like and learn more ourselves and put others out there. Try something new, learn something new.
That was good.
That's good.
Trey, something you said when you said your thoughts, dealing with your thoughts, and basically what you're saying to yourself. And I thought about Proverbs 23:7, where it says, "For as he thinketh in his heart, so is he." And so who are you? What are you thinking about? And it goes back to those internal cues. Because before we do anything, before we make a decision, before we behave, we think about it. It's our thoughts. That's your mind is your mitochondria of life. So what is your powerhouse doing? What are you feeding your powerhouse is important also.
Come on. That's good. Oh man. I tell you what, you got anything to add to that?
I was saying, she's absolutely right in that, the battlefield is in the mind, you know what I mean? And so at the end of the day, like, if you don't get your thoughts under control, if you don't get it perceiving of what you can do, and you're not going to know what you can do if you don't talk to the creator. You know what I mean? He built you and he made you and formed you. Then he can tell you what you are here to do, and he's built you to do that. See, a lot of us think that we don't have the capability to do what he's called us to do. And at the end of the day, it's not the fact that you have to learn everything. It's already in you. You just have to walk through life and it be brought out of you because it's already in you.
Wow, that's wow, that's good. Yes, Andrea.
Okay, so Shamika said, "What goes in must come out." So having positive influence around you. That's good.
That's true.
That's true.
Yeah,
that's true.
Yeah, good. That's good to avoid it, because you definitely want to be amongst positive influence, people that can pour in or sow into your life and not take away, or negative influences. You know what I mean?
Right.
So
right.
I agree with that.
Right. And I think is piggybacking on what she said, and then we got to make small, meaningful changes. I think a lot of times we try to overhaul so quickly when it comes to ourselves. Like we just try to do this mass overhaul. But honestly, it was the small things that built this problem, and it's going to take small things to make this change. And so it's kind of like being around people who, always got something negative or slick or slide, as we say, or off the wall at you. Those things are hits at you. And so once again, going back to what she's saying, being around positive, truly sincere, positive people is very important in any day and time, especially in this time where we're being bombarded with negativity on a daily basis from any avenue you go. There's something crazy. So just learning to turn things off and just really reprogram, and then properly filter what you let come in.
Ooh, I like that. Filter.
That's good.
Oh man, that's good. Oh man, this is great, guys. I tell you what, one more commercial break and we'll come back and we'll start wrapping it up. You guys, let us know. Go to next15podcast.com. Leave us a review if you like what you're hearing tonight. We're going to go to a commercial break, so keep it locked. We'll be right back here on the Next 15. Hi, this is Trey North, and I wanted to let you know about the Next 15, an all-new podcast show designed specifically for the binge listener, covering random and sometimes off-the-cuff topics such as relationships, current news, and everyday life issues. This podcast show is interactive, which means you can participate during our live episodes via chat room or podcast line. That's right, you can call in and be a part of my live podcast show. So tune in on Friday nights at 7 p.m. live on Spreaker.com or Next15podcast.com. And if you missed a live show, you can catch up by tuning in on Apple Podcast, Spotify, iHeartRadio, or wherever you listen to podcasts. Before I go, don't forget to follow me on Instagram and Facebook at Next15Podcast. Or you can go to Next15Podcast.com and subscribe to get upcoming news, unreleased contents, and our monthly newsletter. This is Trey North, and I'll see you on the Next 15. You're listening to the Next 15 Podcast Show with Trey North on Spreaker.com. And we're back on the Next15Podcast.com with Chris McAllister and special guest co-host Pastor Monica Rivers of ECOB Ministries Incorporated, and along with our chat room host who's doing a great job, Andrea Clark. Oh man, this has been a good episode, guys.
Yeah, man, this has been good. You know,
I'm sorry, I had y'all on mute. My bad. I'm sorry.
Okay.
But yeah, this has been a great episode, though. Like I was saying, this has been a great episode.
Yeah.
Pastor Rivers, we're gonna give you the floor. Final comments tonight, along with your plugs and everything.
Perfect. Well, one, just a few tips. One, change your inner voice. Start putting scriptures or positive words in front of you daily. I know I do that. Like everywhere I go in my house, even on the refrigerator, there's a scripture. There's something to remind me of who I am in Christ. To create positive habits and reevaluate who you're dealing with, and put them in proper perspective, or put them in the proper places that they belong in your life. I'm not talking about cutting people off. I'm just talking about adjusting. And also always remember to do introspection is so important. But while you're doing that introspection, do it through the Word of God. Let the Holy Spirit reveal to you the areas of, I don't like to call them weaknesses, areas of growth. There's no weakness when we're in Christ. There's opportunities for us to mature and be better and get closer to that place of perfection in Christ. And that is so key. And then 5, give yourself some grace. God has given us grace. Give your own self some grace. Okay. And I'm not saying not to be obedient, but what I'm saying is don't be so hard on yourself. Self-criticism is one of the big keys, which creates fear. And most of all, we have nothing to fear. We have nothing to fear. And so your only competition is you.
Come on.
There's nobody else. You compare yourself to Christ and then what you did yesterday. Nobody else. This is about your walk. Wow. Your walk. Remember that, your walk. Also, thank you, Trey, for having me once again, Pastor Chris, Andrea, everyone of this, the Next 15. You know, I follow, I listen in when I can. But listen, everyone, we're doing a great conference. It is free. I'm going to say it again. It is free. March 20th. Join us on that Saturday. Join us. Go to Eventbrite. Put in Healthy Body, Healthy Mind. We have clinicians that are coming through. We have a celebrity nutritionist that's going to be there. Okay. We have praise and worship by the best. Come through to this conference. This is your opportunity to ask your questions about your mind, your emotions, and your body, and to get expert advice. Wow. Men, we got a session for you. If you don't want to say something in front of your girl or whatever, there is a session just for you. Okay. And women, we have a session just for ourselves, and we have the same thing. Clinicians. We talk about people who are therapists. We're talking about people who celebrity nutritionist, you better catch him. You better catch my boy Chris on March 20th. Okay. Before you have to call him and actually pay him. So definitely come through and get your advice. All is welcome. We're excited because we even have people from the UK that's going to be there. So we're excited that just come through. Men, women, everybody's invited. Let's do this. Let's get healthy. Let's have a healthy body, a healthy mind in 2021.
Oh, that is great.
That's
Listen,
awesome.
before we go, I promised y'all at midpoint of the show that we went to drjudyho.com and took the Self-Sabotage life quiz, and Andrea just reminded me of that. Pastor Rivers, what did you come up with? I'm just interested to know it.
Yeah, this is interesting. So I end up getting internalizing. Which is something I've been working on for years. However, when you read the definition, it can turn, if you properly mature and really be mindful of that particular issue, it can work to your advantage. And that's what I've been working on, because I have recognized that a lot of the things that I grew up in, things that I've experienced true trauma. And so working through those traumas, knowing now how to utilize those traumas or the past experiences to my advantage, meaning, being hypervigilant and how that can work to your advantage in this understanding who I am as a person. And when I can tell you the transformation that has happened over the years is awesome. And I am happy of the woman that I am today and who I am developing to be every day.
Okay.
That's good.
That's good. Pastor Chris, any final comments or thoughts?
So yeah, man, my final comments will be kind of like off of like what Pastor Rivers said is what you want to do is always you want to build you a good surrounding of individuals that can again hold you accountable. Understand that you're not going through this life by yourself, and the enemy wants to put you on an island. He wants to put you on an island of Patmos by yourself, and where you feel like you're the only one dealing with the issue that you're dealing with. So always surround yourself around individuals that can help pull you up and pray for you when you can't do it yourself. You know what I mean? And so if you're the smartest person in the room, then you're in the wrong room. So get around some people that can actually help you and can push you forward, man. And so that's what I would tell anybody, especially when you're talking about self-sabotage, because there are people in your life that won't allow you to self-sabotage what God has for you. And so get around the right people and let them be able to correct when needed, and to direct when needed. It could be a best friend. It could be a couple of best friends, but make sure you have those right people in your life. So that's my closing thoughts. If I have to plug anything, I will definitely say here at Life Changers Church here in the great city of Austin, if you are anywhere in the city, we have our Super Bowl Sunday coming this coming Sunday. If you're anywhere in the surrounding area, come visit us at 10:30 a.m. at our location 15020 North I-35 Frontage Road. We are doing blue jeans and jerseys, and then we'll be meeting up at Buffalo Wild Wings after our service. You're going to get a good word, and we will get you out of there at Life Changers Church. You can watch us online on our Facebook page at LCC Austin, and also on our YouTube page at Life Changers Austin. And so I want to see you there in the place. And if you can't make it, I understand with COVID-19, I want to see you online. Don't miss it.
Boy, I tell you, this joker right here, you give him Pastor River, you see I gave him a commercial? This joker this joker took a 3-minute spot. You work here, bro. You work here. Boy, I knew he was coming with it.
Absolutely.
So while you talking before we go, what did you come in with on your test, on your life quiz from Dr. JudyHo.com?
Yeah, the same thing, man. I came with internalized beliefs, man. I know I've been through so many things in my life, dude. And growing up, being a church kid, you think that being a church kid that you don't really deal with a whole lot, or you don't see a lot, and you do. And so, it didn't Yeah, you're right. It didn't really surprise me because, when you do your self-evaluation,
Mm.
you kind of know what your issues are, man. And so that, and I'm still working, even though I'm a pastor. Like I said, we all got issues, we all got problems, and
Mhm.
I'm working to do better. Because I do internalize
Mhm.
a lot. I don't
Mhm.
talk to a whole lot of folks to pray for Pastor Chris. Uh,
Okay. Okay.
yeah.
Okay. Yeah, Andrea, you thought you was gonna get off the hook, but you over here, you took the test. What'd you come up with?
For my test, I got fear of change or the unknown.
Fear of change of the unknown.
Hmm.
Okay. Oh, wow. Wow. Okay. You got
Wow.
anything to add? Are you good or what?
I want to say it was a good podcast.
Mm-hmm.
Um, some of the things that was mentioned was a slap in the face. It was like, dang, y'all talking about me? But I learned a lot, with the things that I have dealt with within myself. And I thank Brandy and Tia
Mm-hmm.
for being here and supporting me. Those are my circle of friends.
Okay.
They hold me
Mhm.
accountable.
Ah,
So,
Okay.
and I want to say, and that's it. So thank you for having me.
man. Well, I had fear of change of the unknown.
Really?
Also,
Mm.
that's crazy.
Uh,
So Pastor Chris and Pastor Rivers had the same, and me and
Mm-hmm.
you had the same.
Mhm.
That's crazy.
right.
I think the slap in the face that got me back was that it says, in a mistaken attempt to protect you, your mind holds you back.
Mm.
From a potentially positive change, rationalizing that at least you've learned over time how to deal with the current problems. Oh man, I'd
Oh,
slap
man.
me. That was like two
Hmm.
slaps, really. Oh man, that's crazy, y'all. Oh, this has been good. Pastor Rivers, again, I just want to thank you for taking out your busy
Thank you.
the time, your busy schedule. You are a woman that is always on the move, doing something. And I just want to say thank you for taking your time tonight on this Friday to bless us with your presence, with your knowledge. Gosh, it's just so invaluable. And I know the listeners got something out of here. Man, if they ain't take away something wrong. If they're not walking away with something tonight, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Right.
Man,
Thank you for having me. It was a
yes,
pleasure. It was definitely good and great conversation and even great reminders for myself. Like
yeah,
Pastor Chris said, we pastors, but we
yeah,
got our issues too. We got to go
Yeah,
to the throne
absolutely.
room
yeah.
with.
Yeah. Oh man, thank everybody for your comments in the chat room tonight. Thank you for listening. I saw you, Adrian Carter, in there. Again, my cousin Lo, man. I appreciate you. Appreciate you, Lo. Everybody out there, if I didn't mention your name, I just want to say, hey, Tia Scott and Erica Vargas, thank you so much for listening. I want to thank those who will be downloading this show. You didn't hear it live, but guess what? You still download it, so thank you very much. You'll never get back this 1 hour of your life, but we hope that we inspired and educated you tonight. Don't forget to follow us at the Next 15 Podcast on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. And then, guys, listen, mark your calendars for Thursday, February the 18th at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time or 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. I'll be joined Juan Alaman, the host of the Wrestling Wayback Podcast. Listen, if you're a wrestling fan, join us as we talk about our top wrestling tag teams right here on the same platform at Spreaker. You got to go to the Wrestling Wayback Podcast and then join us live with interactive chat. Juan Alaman, thank you for listening. I know you were here earlier. I didn't mention you, but thank you so much. Don't forget next15podcast.com. Subscribe, give us a review, and if you like tonight's show and you want to bless me with a cup of coffee, then at the review tab, click the Buy Me a Coffee tab, and I can stay up and have all these great topics coming to you Friday nights at 7 p.m. For Chris McAllister, Andrea Clark, and Pastor Monica Rivers of ECOB Ministries Incorporated, this is Trey North, and we'll see you guys on the next 15.